The moment that everybody looks forward to at a chuppah is right at the end, when the rabbi takes a glass, puts it down on the ground, and asks the chatan, the groom, to stamp on it. He stamps on it, he breaks it, and everybody shouts, Mazel Tov! And of course the couple leaves the chuppah amidst a great deal of festivity and joy. Where does this custom come from, and what is the meaning of this custom? The conventional thinking and the most popular thinking is that it has to do with the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. We are told in the Talmud that we should never forget Jerusalem. In fact, we should have a section in our home that is left unplastered and unpainted, so that when we come into our home, we will realize that our lives cannot be complete unless we remember Jerusalem. The Code of Jewish Law goes a step further, and it says that a woman should never wear all of her jewelry at once to remember that her joy cannot be complete. Or even if you're having a dinner party, a whole lot of people over for a meal, don't put out all of your best cutlery and crockery, again to remember Yerushalayim. And so too it says, at a wedding, a groom must remember that even though this is the greatest joy that he has, the day of his wedding, nevertheless, his joy cannot be complete as long as the Beit HaMikdash, the holy temple, is still in ruins. And therefore, he breaks a glass. And often you'll see at a chuppah that before the glass is broken, the chatan, the groom, or the choir will sing those words from Tehillim, Im eshkachech Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. If I forget Jerusalem, says David, let me forget the use of my right hand. So the conventional thinking is that the breaking of the glass has to do with the destruction of Jerusalem. The Talmud itself gives another reason. It says that there was a particular wedding that was happening. There was incredible festivity. All of the yeshiva bochrim were there, the young Torah scholars, and they were having a grand party. And in fact, they were getting a little bit beyond themselves. So a great rabbi who was there at the time took an expensive glass bowl and threw it on the ground. Everybody suddenly stopped what they were doing. They were shocked. They came back to their senses. And therefore, the idea is to remind people that even though this is a very joyous occasion, nevertheless, be careful, because joy and frivolity and festivity can sometimes make you do things that are not rational, that are illogical, and therefore we break a glass as if to say, think straight. But there is a third explanation. This is a very, very beautiful explanation, that it has to do with the breaking of the tablets. We read in our parasha that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, went up to the mountain and he received the tablets of the law, the 10 Commandments. And one of the great commentators, the Tashbates, tells us that many, many wedding customs come from how the Torah was given at Sinai. It was actually a wedding. Hashem, if you like, was the groom. The Jewish people were the bride. The mountain was the chuppah. The marriage document were the 10 Commandments. And many, many customs that we have for a wedding come from that. So, for example, there is a custom that the people who walk down with the bride and the groom to the chuppah hold torches. They hold candles. Why? Because when the Torah was given at Sinai, there was thunder and there was lightning, and we are reminded of that. Well, where does the breaking of the glass feature in the giving of the Torah? And the answer to that is that, unfortunately, it was a wedding that went totally wrong. Because in 40 days after the tablets were given, the Jewish people committed an act of terrible treachery. They betrayed their husband. They betrayed Hashem. Moshe came down the mountain. He saw that they had made the golden calf. He took the tablets of stone and he shattered them on the ground, as if to say, this wedding is over. This contract has been ripped up. We have to start all over again. And therefore, at every single chuppah, the groom takes a glass and he breaks it. Yes, to remember Jerusalem. And yes, to remember not to be frivolous, but also to remember that famous wedding that took place all of those generations ago, when the Jewish people committed themselves to God, and yet, within a few weeks, it had totally broken. And therefore, it's to remind him in the most subtle way possible, commit yourself, remain committed to your bride throughout your lives, because look how terrible things can go. And therefore, at every single wedding, we are reminded of the giving of the Torah, that incredible occasion where the Jewish people and Hashem were married for all time. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.